The city was drowning in rain that night. Water poured down the marble steps of the luxury hotel like melted silver, and Emma Kensington stood beneath her umbrella, watching the streets blur into shadows. The night smelled of cold asphalt and loneliness, the kind that never left you, no matter how many zeros followed your name. Her driver waited beside the black Rolls-Royce, umbrella in hand. But Emma didn't move. Something held her there, a strange tug in her chest. Her friends had just toasted to another deal, another meaningless success. They called her the lucky heiress, a girl born into gold. But inside, she felt hollow, like her laughter echoed in an empty mansion. Then she saw him. A man sat on the curb across the street, soaked to the bone, his hands trembling as he clutched a piece of cardboard that read, "We'll work for food." He wasn't old, maybe in his late 20s, but his face carried years of hardship. His hair was a tangled mess, his clothes little more than torn fabric clinging to his skin. Yet there was something in his eyes that froze her, not desperation, but quiet pride. Emma's heart twisted. She crossed the street before her mind could catch up. Her designer heels splashed through puddles. The man looked up, startled, as if no one had ever approached him before. "Do you have somewhere to go?" she asked. He blinked, rain dripping from his lashes. "I did, once." "What's your name?" "Liam." "Liam what?" He hesitated. "Just Liam." Her driver called out behind her. "Miss Kensington, please. Let's go." "You'll get sick." But Emma ignored him. Something inside her rebelled against walking away. "Get him a blanket, food, clothes, whatever he needs," she said. The driver frowned. "Ma'am, I said do it." Liam tried to stand, but his legs wobbled. "You don't have to do this," he muttered. Emma looked straight into his eyes. "Maybe I do." And that's how it began, with a decision she couldn't explain, an impulse that would rewrite both their lives. Hours later, as the storm continued to rage, Liam sat wrapped in a blanket inside her car. He couldn't understand what was happening. "Why are you helping me?" he asked softly. Emma looked out the window, her reflection pale and unreadable. "Because I'm tired of saving everything, except myself." When they arrived at her mansion, a towering estate on the edge of the city, Liam stared in disbelief. "You live here?" "Yes. And now, you do too." He laughed bitterly. "You can't just buy people." "I'm not buying you, Liam," she said quietly. "I'm giving you a chance." But as she led him through the grand entrance, neither of them realized that she had just purchased far more than a moment of kindness. She had unknowingly bought a key to her own redemption. That night, Liam slept in a bed softer than clouds. Emma watched the rain from her balcony, wondering why she suddenly felt something she hadn't in years alive. And somewhere downstairs, Liam whispered to himself, "What kind of woman saves a stranger from the streets?" He didn't know yet she was the kind of woman who needed saving too. Morning light spilled across the marble floors of the Kensington estate, touching the silver picture frames and tall vases like it was afraid to disturb them. Liam woke to the scent of jasmine soap and warm bread, things he hadn't known in years. The bed beneath him felt unreal, too soft, too generous. For a long while, he simply stared at the ceiling, wondering if he was still dreaming. Downstairs, Emma sat at the long dining table, untouched breakfast before her. Her father had already called that morning. "You brought a stranger into our house?" he yelled. "What are you thinking, Emma? The tabloids will devour you alive." She'd hung up before he finished. She was used to people telling her what not to do, but for the first time in her life, she had done something that felt right. When Liam entered the room, clean-shaven, dressed in the simple clothes the staff had left, Emma almost didn't recognize him. His face, once shadowed with dirt and fatigue, carried quiet dignity. "You look," she began, then stopped. "Human again?" he finished, smirking faintly. "I was always human, Miss Kensington. Just forgotten." Her cheeks warmed. "You don't need to call me that. Just Emma." He nodded. Then Emma, "What am I supposed to do now? You bought me a bed, food, clothes. I can't repay that." "You can work here," she said. "Garden maybe, or fix things. You'll earn your keep." He looked at her carefully, as if searching for the catch. "And when I've paid my debt, then you're free to go," she said softly. But she didn't know why those words hurt her. Days turned into weeks. Liam worked in the garden with a quiet precision that fascinated her. Every cut of his shovel was careful, deliberate, like he respected the earth. Emma found herself watching from her balcony, coffee in hand, heart unsettled. He rarely spoke, but when he did, his voice carried stories. One afternoon, she brought him lemonade. "You don't have to do this," he told her. "You're the boss." "I'm not your boss, Liam, aren't you? You own the house, the car, even the air I'm breathing right now." "You're wrong," she said, setting down the glass. "Everything I own feels empty. You're the only thing here that feels real." He froze, unsure how to respond. For a long moment, neither spoke. The wind moved between them, carrying the scent of cut grass and rain. That evening, she couldn't sleep. From the balcony, she heard soft music drifting through the mansion piano. Curious, she followed the sound to the old music room. Liam sat before the grand piano, eyes closed, fingers gliding over ivory keys with haunting tenderness. Emma stood silently watching. The melody wrapped around her like a confession. When he finished, she clapped softly. He turned, startled. "I didn't mean to wake anyone. Where did you learn to play like that?" she asked, stepping closer. "Before," he said. "Before I lost everything." "Who were you?" "An architect," he said bitterly. "Had a company. A home. People I thought were friends. Until one of them ruined me. I lost the contracts, the money. Then the rest followed. You can't imagine what it's like to go from shaking hands with millionaires to begging for a sandwich." Emma's chest tightened. "Maybe I can," she whispered. "People think I have everything, but I'd trade all of it for one person who truly sees me." He studied her, really studied her, for the first time. "Maybe you already found him," he said quietly. Her breath caught. The air between them shimmered with something fragile and knew something dangerous. She stepped back, flustered. "Good night, Liam." "Good night, Emma," he replied, his voice soft as the fading melody. That night, neither of them slept. She kept hearing the piano in her dreams, and he kept seeing her eyes whenever he closed his. Two people from opposite worlds, one bought a man to feel less empty, and the other found a reason to start living again. Neither yet understood that love had already begun to grow in the silence between them. Weeks passed, and the mansion slowly changed. The air, once cold and filled with silence, now carried the sound of laughter, footsteps, and music. Emma had started joining Liam in the garden, pretending to help but mostly watching him work. Sometimes they spoke, sometimes they didn't need to. The comfort between them grew like the roses he tended quietly, without permission. One evening, the world outside glittered with city lights as Emma returned from another charity gala. She hated these events. They were full of people who smiled with their mouths but not their eyes. Her so-called friends had mocked her again tonight, whispering about the stray she kept in her mansion. When she walked in, her shoes clicked angrily on the marble. "Rough night?" Liam asked from the kitchen doorway. He was barefoot, sleeves rolled up, washing dishes. She almost laughed. "Rough life," she muttered. "They think I've lost my mind for keeping you here." "Maybe you have," he said with a crooked grin. "Or maybe you finally found your heart." She looked at him, and for a moment, the tension in her shoulders melted. "You think you know me, don't you?" "No," he said, "but I want to." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Later, she found herself standing by the piano again. Liam joined her, wiping his hands on a towel. "Play something," she said. "I want to hear that sound again." He hesitated, then sat. The melody he played was slow and aching, like an apology and a promise wrapped into one. Emma closed her eyes, the music seeping into her chest. When the last note faded, she whispered, "You make everything hurt a little less." "So do you," he answered. Their eyes met, and something fragile cracked open between them. The walls they had both built began to crumble. Days later, they walked together through the garden. Emma confessed things she'd never told anyone. How her mother had died when she was 10. How her father turned her world into contracts and expectations. How she felt trapped in a life everyone else chose for her. Liam listened, his expression soft. "You're not trapped," he said. "You're just afraid to walk out the door." She looked at him. "And you? What are you afraid of?" "Of believing someone could love me again," he admitted. A silence followed, deep and real. Then she reached out, brushing dirt from his hand. Maybe we can both learn, she said. That night, the mansion lights glowed warmer than ever. Emma sat by the fire, sipping tea, while Liam read from an old book he'd found in the library. It felt like home, a word neither of them had spoken in years. But happiness has a cruel way of testing those who find it. A few days later, Emma's father arrived unannounced. He stormed through the door, face red with anger. "What have you done?" he shouted. "Do you know what people are saying about you? About this man?" Liam stepped forward, calm but defiant. "With respect, sir, she's done nothing wrong. You, her father spat, are a parasite. You think I don't know your type? You're after her money. That's enough." Emma's voice trembled, but her eyes were fierce. "He's not like you. He doesn't see me as a transaction." Her father's expression hardened. "If you don't end this, Emma, you're no longer my daughter." The words cut deep. When he left, slamming the door, Emma turned to Liam with tears in her eyes. "Maybe he's right. Maybe I ruined everything." Liam reached for her hand. "You didn't ruin anything. You finally started living." And then, without thinking, she kissed him. It was soft, hesitant, filled with years of longing neither of them had spoken aloud. When they pulled away, both were breathless. "That was," she began, "real," he finished. "But love born in defiance never comes easy." They both knew something was about to change. Neither could say it, but both felt it. The storm wasn't over. It was just beginning. The days that followed were softer, slower, and dangerously beautiful. Emma and Liam moved through the mansion like two souls learning to breathe again. They shared breakfasts under the morning sun, dinners by candlelight, and silent moments that spoke louder than any words. Emma felt alive for the first time in years. But the world outside her gates was not so kind. Rumors spread like wildfire, headlines calling her the heiress who bought a beggar. Photos of Liam entering her home appeared online, twisting the truth into something ugly. Her father's company stock began to tremble, and the board demanded explanations. Emma tried to ignore it all, but the weight pressed heavier every day. One evening, as rain lashed against the windows, she sat by the fire, staring into the flames. Liam entered quietly, towel in hand. "You've barely eaten," he said. "Neither have you," she murmured. He smiled faintly. "Guess we're even." But there was worry in his eyes. "They're hurting you, Emma. I should go." Her head snapped up. "Don't say that. You brought me into your world, and now it's falling apart around you." "No, Liam," she whispered. "You're the only part that's holding me together." He knelt beside her chair, taking her trembling hands. "I can't let them destroy you for saving me." "Then let them," she said fiercely. "I don't care about the money, the company, the name. I care about you." His breath caught. "You don't understand. I've been where they're taking you, to that place where reputation means more than truth. It destroys people. It destroyed me." Her tears fell silently. "Then let's be destroyed together." He looked at her like she was sunlight in the middle of his ruins, and then he kissed her again, deeper this time, desperate and real. The fire cracked beside them as if to bless the moment. But outside, the storm kept raging. The next morning, Emma woke to find her father waiting in the living room. His face was pale, tired, defeated. "It's done," he said coldly. "The board voted. You're out. I warned you." "So be it, Emma. Don't you see? You've thrown your life away for him. Maybe I finally found a life worth living." Liam appeared at the doorway. Her father turned his wrath on him. "Get out of this house, or I'll have you dragged out. I won't let you ruin her." "You already did," Emma snapped. Her father's eyes filled with something that looked almost like pain. "She's my daughter," he whispered, "and she'll regret you." Then he left. The silence that followed felt heavier than thunder. Liam walked to her, voice low. "He's right about one thing. As long as I'm here, you'll be his target. You think leaving will fix that? It's the only way." She shook her head violently. "No, I won't lose you." But later that night, he was gone. No goodbye. No sound. Just an envelope on her pillow. Inside, his handwriting, "You gave me my life back. Now you have to live yours." Emma sank to the floor, clutching the letter like it was a heartbeat slipping away. Days turned into weeks, then months. She went back to her work, but everything felt colorless. The garden he tended grew wild. The piano gathered dust. People said time heals everything, but it didn't heal the space he left behind. Then one morning, her assistant rushed in, breathless. "Miss Kensington, there's something you should see." Emma followed her downtown. A new building stood there, modern, elegant, yet simple. Across its entrance in shining letters, the Liam Foundation for the Homeless. She froze. A lump rose in her throat as she whispered, "He's alive." The world blurred around her, the noise of the city fading into silence. And somewhere deep inside, hope, that fragile, stubborn thing, began to breathe again. The day was bright, the kind of sunlight that seemed to burn away the ghosts of the past. Emma stood at the foot of the new building, staring at the silver letters that spelled his name. The Liam Foundation for the Homeless. The words shimmered like a dream she once dared to have. Cameras flashed all around her as reporters filled the street. The city's most powerful people had gathered for the grand opening, but Emma wasn't there for them. She was there for him. Her heart raced with every passing minute. What if he didn't show up? What if he'd built this and disappeared again? Content to live in her memory rather than her life? Then, through the crowd, she saw him. He walked up the steps with quiet grace, wearing a simple black suit, his hair trimmed, his eyes brighter than she'd ever seen. For a heartbeat, she forgot how to breathe. The man who had once sat in the rain with a cardboard sign now stood tall, confident, and whole. The world had taken everything from him, but she had given him back the will to fight. And he had turned that fight into something beautiful. Liam took the stage as the audience hushed. "There was a time," he began, voice steady but heavy with emotion, "when I thought my life had ended, when I slept on the streets, invisible to everyone, until one person stopped." She didn't see a beggar. She saw a man who could stand again, and that changed everything. His gaze lifted, finding her in the crowd. "I was once bought," he said softly, "not with money, but with kindness." The audience applauded, but Emma didn't hear it. Her vision blurred as tears filled her eyes. When the ceremony ended, she waited until the crowd thinned. Then she stepped forward. Liam turned, and for a moment, neither spoke. "You disappeared," she whispered. "You told me to live," he said. "So I did. I built something for people like me. Because of you. I never wanted you to go," she said. "I thought maybe." Her voice broke. He stepped closer, gently brushing a tear from her cheek. "I had to become the man who deserved you," he said. "Now, maybe I am." "You were always that man, Liam," she whispered. "You just forgot." He smiled, that small, unguarded smile she had missed more than air. "Do you still have that mansion?" he asked playfully. "I left it," she said. "Too big, too empty." "Then maybe we can build something smaller, together." The city noise faded around them. She reached for his hand, and it felt like finding home after being lost too long. "I never wanted to own you, Liam," she said softly. "I just wanted to love you." He drew her into his arms, his voice trembling. "And I came back to let you." The cameras had gone. The crowd dispersed, but to Emma and Liam, the world had stopped. They stood beneath the same kind of sunlight that had once fallen on rain-soaked streets, two souls who had met by accident and saved each other by choice. Later, as they walked through the halls of the foundation together, she looked at the photographs on the walls, faces of the people he had helped, stories that began with hunger and ended with hope. "You built all this," she whispered in awe. "We did," he corrected. "You gave me a reason to start again." She smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. "So what now?" "Now," he said, "we keep saving each other, every day." Outside, a light drizzle began to fall, soft and cleansing. Emma lifted her face to the sky, laughing quietly as the rain kissed her skin. Liam took her hand, and for the first time, neither of them felt lost. They walked together into the rain, not as a rich girl and a homeless man, but as two hearts that had finally come home. The city around them shimmered, alive with new beginnings, and somewhere deep in their silence, love spoke louder than any storm could ever drown. The story that began with a purchase ended with something no one could buy: peace, forgiveness, and a love that had survived everything meant to break it.